What's up, everybody? This week I'm joined by Gregory as we sit and look at the most wonderful, wonderful thing on TV shows for kids in the 90s. Children's game shows. That and a whole lot more is to come on this week's episode of the 90's podcast. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is the 90's podcast right here at the Becausemaybepodcast Network. Hope you're doing well today, and I'm joined by Gregory. Greg, how are you, man?
Hey, man, what's up? Happy to be back, as always.
Yes, we are. Let me just check my calendar, because I always have to check my calendar. I should have prepared this before I got started, but oh well. Nah, you didn't want to prepare anything. This is, we are releasing this on the Sunday after Thanksgiving. So, hope you enjoyed your turkey. Hope it was delicious and all that stuff. But we're all set up for the after Thanksgiving lull, and we've got more stuff coming up, which I'll explain later. But yeah, it's good to be back, man.
Yeah, man, always. It's always 90s, and I kind of stuck in the 90s in several different respects. So yeah, man, I'm always happy to come on and talk.
I'm claiming Lord of the Rings as a 90s movie because it started filming in 98 or 99. So I'm claiming that as a 90s movie. So that's my big ticket thing in there. Because this weekend, right? This week was an easy week at work or a tough week at work. I don't know yet. It hasn't happened yet. Then we had Thanksgiving. Then I did some live sound. And the day that you're listening to this, I'm actually doing the live stream, the after Thanksgiving live stream. So it's
nice.
It's super busy.
And I played at Bears on Saturday before the release date, and I'm sure it was awesome.
Yeah, and I did a market too, so
yeah, boom. So boom, we covered right there. There we go.
As you can probably tell, everybody, we're recording this a couple of days before Thanksgiving, so it's a little bit of fun to have. But today we're talking about the one thing that I think every child of the 90s can agree on. That they wanted to be on one of these things, at least one of them.
Yeah, at least is the caveat there, because for me it was like I could envision myself in multiple, if not all of them. I mean, it was every kid's dream to be on one of these shows.
We're talking about children's game shows. So, for what is a children's game show? Okay, let's define the parameter. It's not, it's not a TV show where sometimes the kids come on from the adult, the adult version of the show, and sometimes they're the kids on, Kids Jeopardy. So like we're talking about game shows designed for children, dedicated.
Yeah,
that were on children's TV channels or during the block of children's TV that you had in the afternoon or Saturday morning. They were designed for kids to have fun and win prizes, mainly a bunch of toys and bikes and,
trips and space camp. And yeah, and a lot of these are children's network centric completely. But there are a few, like you're saying, that were just a part of a clump of children's programming. Usually you'd see it early, like late afternoon to early evening, somewhere around the prime time for kids, But yeah, man, it was kind of the golden age of children's game shows, man. It was pretty amazing.
So before we go ahead and get started, I'm going to give a warning to people from both sides of the world, okay? There are going to be TV shows that we are going to talk about today that you're going to have absolutely no clue what we're talking about. But that's okay. I guarantee you, out of the 12 that I've got listed right here that we're going to go over and give a brief overview and discuss, you will have heard of some of them. We're talking about some from both sides of the Atlantic. Some that I grew up with, some that Greg grew up with, some that we both grew up with. And, it's stick around. Trust me, you'll enjoy this. This is not a thing of, well, I've heard two shows so far and I don't know anything. Trust me, we've got everything from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego to the Crystal Maze. So, yeah. And the Crystal Maze is fantastic. So anyway, that one sneaks in here because it did have a kids version of it. It wasn't a dedicated kids show, but it did have a kids version of it.
Yeah.
So I'm counting it because I want to talk about it. So
right on.
So we're gonna start with one that ran from 93 to 95. Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, man.
So I've never heard of this show, even though they did a TV movie and a recent reboot.
Yeah.
But I guess my kids grew out of Nickelodeon about 3 years ago. So,
Okay.
they stopped watching. And plus, we'd seen every episode of SpongeBob SquarePants like 5 times over. And there's only
Yeah,
so many
it's just
times you can watch it, considering they put it on like 5 hours every day.
yeah, it's just a changing of the guard. I mean, just time. Yeah, this was a really original show. It had a very unique stage setup. It was set up kind of like a temple
Okay.
entrance, and there was ruins, and it was basically it was a blend of physical challenges and uh, puzzles and basically just learning the information that is involved with the story. So like they would tell you a story about the artifact, and you'd have to answer questions, and then whoever answered the most, the top two would go to the temple games. Then they would go into the actual temple and try to retrieve the artifact for the game.
Nice.
There's pendants of life too. It's really unique, a multi-stage type of thing. And it starts off with a whole bunch of kids, and they wind it down to two on one team. They get to compete for the competition. So it's unique in the fact that there's not like some other shows where there's one person pitted another against another person to win the grand championship.
Yeah.
It's one team. When like, are they going to win, or are they going to lose? So it was very unique in lots of ways. So great show.
Nice. Well, this was on Nickelodeon in the United States. I don't think it ever made it to the UK's Nickelodeon. I think the UK's Nickelodeon just focused on cartoons and teen drama or teen comedies, so that we didn't get the game shows, unfortunately. Which is a shame, really, because I think this would have worked outside of, Keenan and Kel, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it had a short run, so maybe that was it too. I would imagine it was really costly to produce,
Oh,
because
yeah.
if you just look at the set, it's insane. And they were constantly changing up the games. They were like aerial and ground, water. So there was always some new rub each week. So that had to wear them out financially. I don't see how they could sustain that without really good ratings. So
Well, that actually sounds like one of the shows that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. So we'll get to that here in a few minutes, because it's a similar concept. The
yeah,
teams, and they're fighting for the grand championship and all that kind of stuff. So we'll get to that in a minute. Kirk Fogg, that's a name I'm not familiar with. Is that someone who was pretty larger than life, or was he just a weedy guy?
no, I mean, I liked him. I always thought he was a warm and welcome presence. He
Okay.
was good at his job. He would rappel down from the rafters. He
Oh,
was dressed like
nice.
Indiana Jones. Big energy. Was fine with laughing at himself. And I thought he was an exceptional host. He's actually in the TV movie as
Okay.
himself, and he does a great job in that too. So just he's really only largely known for that. I mean, maybe he's done other things, but anyone my age is going to be like Legends of the Hidden Temple guy. Like
Yeah.
second we hear that name or see him. So
Because his name sounds like an MTV VJ. This is Kirk
yeah,
Fogg with the TRL
MTV
plus one.
News,
Yeah.
yeah, update or whatever. Yeah,
So, and then there was D. Bradley Baker was the voice of Almanac.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
guess
That's so Olmec
Olmec.
was like a talking statue that was built into the side of the set.
Nice.
Yeah, so he had a voice that was similar to this.
Yeah.
It was a very like deep, kind of commanding voice. D. Bradley Baker's done tons of voice work. He does a bunch of stuff for like Family Guy and American Dad.
Okay.
He's extremely versatile. He does. If you've ever watched American Dad, the fish that has the German accent, that's D. Bradley Baker.
Oh, okay.
He also does. No, he doesn't do Roger. He does somebody else. I think he does Steve, the Stan's son. He's got a couple different roles in that one. So yeah, it's great. It tripped me out when I was rewatching it in preparation and saw his name. I was like, holy cow, that is him. So yeah, man, he's still working, doing good for himself.
Well, there's a name that will stand out to you and I in this next show that we're going to talk about, and the show's called Guts. Again, this is not one that we got in the UK. It was a Nickelodeon show, but there's a name that stands out. It was the referee. It was Maura Quirk. Now, you and I
Yeah,
might not know people might not know the name Maura Quirk, but if you're a fan of Skyrim and you followed the Thieves Guild quest line long enough, you will come across an exile thief who has a deep English accent, and she talks a bit like that. And she's actually Kalia from Skyrim. So
okay, I didn't realize that was a nod to her in that
yes.
respect. Wow. Yeah, me and my friends always blushed a little bit when they showed her. We thought she was like super beautiful, and we loved her very classy English accent. So yeah, Mike O'Malley was awesome too.
Yep.
But yeah, it was adding Mo, as they called her, to the show. They always let's check on Mo with the leaderboard. Yeah, every time I do it, like yay, because we just like
more leaderboard, please.
She was so pleasant and just so pretty. Like as kids, we were just it was just a good experience.
Vanna White had nothing on her.
I don't know about that. Vanna White's a generational beauty. That like Cindy Crawford or something like that. Yeah, but nonetheless, like she was still good at her job. She brought a bridge the gap and between the segments and stuff really well. So
sweet. Well, this came out in 92, run through 95, and it was an action sports competition where kids battled in extreme sporting events to win the coveted Agro Crag Trophy. Excuse me, I haven't got my glasses on, so I apologize if I'm struggling reading that.
You got it.
Stood out for its physical challenges that simulated real sports adventures.
So think American Gladiators. I don't know if that helps at all. So it's kind of like a kid's version of American Gladiators.
Nice.
Not quite as extreme as that, but stuff like running on walls, climbing up cargo nets and rappelling down. There's some elements like that. But this was another show that was a high production value show. So it was the sets were always changing. The challenges were changing, episode to episode. So a lot of these kids had no clue what they were getting into until they got there.
Yeah.
They could train at home all they wanted to and like lift weights or run, but you don't know, like you could be like rappelling, you could be jumping, off a trampoline. You have no idea. So like you got to be ready for everything. So yeah.
I remember when they brought Gladiators to the UK in the first season. And like they were hyping up the main guy they were hyping up was the Gladiator Warrior, right? They were hyping him up. He was going to be the star of the show, right? And they put them in the little hamster wheel thingy machine, the hamster wheel game that they played.
Yeah.
And he blew his knee out in the first episode.
Oh no.
So they had to pivot to another guy, but like they were bigging him up. That all the promotional materials about him, and then they went to another dude. I can't remember which one it was. Shadow, I think it was, which was the connotations in that name are real bad. Now looking back on it 30 years later, but so we are gonna go to the next one, which is a British-based show. And basically, Legends of the Hidden Temple for kids in the UK, right? So this started out as an adult game show, and they did kids versions and they did college kids versions. So it wasn't exclusively, grown-ups doing things. They did funnel it off to school kids and college-age kids, right? It's the Crystal Maze. And I loved the Crystal Maze. I wanted to be in the Crystal Maze so bad.
It sounds cool. Yeah, reading the premise, it's very, very similar to Legends because you complete the challenges and you earn Olmec tokens.
Yeah.
And you use those not to gain entrance, but to ward off temple guards once you're going through the final maze. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds definitely watchable too.
So this basically was what the show was about. Was that the teams would go on to 4 different zones, right? There were 4 zones and the Crystal Dome. And each zone had physical, mental, combination, and I can't remember the 4th one, type of games. So, it'd either be a puzzle game, or it'd have to be something that you'd have to physically do, or you know what I mean, just any one of those combinations.
Yeah, and if you type of challenge.
Yeah, and if you won the challenge, you got a crystal. If you lost the challenge, you got locked in the room.
Oh boy!
Now you could get out of the room if you beat the time limit. So basically they'd close the door and they'd lock it after 3 minutes. So you had 3 minutes to do your challenge, and then you either get out after 2.5 minutes and just throw your hands up, or you'd get locked in. If you got locked in, it would cost you a crystal to get out.
Gotcha.
And the whole point of the crystals was I can't remember if it was 5 seconds or 10 seconds in the crystal maze, in the crystal dome. So for every crystal you got 5 seconds in there. And the main ending is the crystal dome was like a giant fan in a crystal shaped dome, right? And the fan would spin and shoot up in the air silver and gold tokens. And for every gold token you put in the thing, you got like 2 points. But for every silver token you put in there, it took away 2 points.
Oh, okay.
So the whole point in the crystal dome was to get the gold tokens and put them in there. Very rarely did people win the grand prize because, you know, it's pitch black. You're just grabbing these things and, you know, stuffing them in the
chance,
thing.
Full chance. Yeah.
But it was a really, really good show. And the guy who invented it was Richard O'Brien. Now, his name might not be well known, but he was the one who wrote, directed, and starred in the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, okay.
And like he did all of that. So he's like this weird, creeped out guy with a harmonica, breaking the fourth wall every few minutes.
Yeah,
you know, winding up the, you know, and he left in '93, and he was replaced by Edward Tudor Pole, and he's a guy I don't know too much about. And those episodes weren't as good because he wasn't as creepy and flamboyant, and he wasn't as charismatic, for lack of a better term. He had charisma, but he just wasn't on the same level. I can't remember which American comedian said it, but it's like Chuck E. Cheese filling in for Mickey Mouse, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Cheesy. Yeah.
So, but that was the Crystal Maze, and like I said, that if I could go back in time to be on any TV show, it would be the Crystal Maze. I don't know what I would do because I'm not smart or physically fit enough to do any of the games, but I'd love to be on it.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about that? Just going back really, just very briefly for a second, like on Guts, they would actually do like a profile of the contestants because there was 3 of them, and each one of them, it was like state champion track, you know, champion swimmer, you know, so they all had some kind of like accolade. So my tubby butt sitting there watching it like, man, I could do that. Nah, this dude's a state champion. That person like won the Little League World Series last year. Just little stuff like that. So yeah, but even in Guts it's all brawn, but like when you get into a game like that, there's some mind elements as well. And there's intuition, there's other things that you can't measure, so to speak. So who knows, man, maybe you would have fared well.
I don't know. Like I said, I'd love for it to be rebooted, or at least I've got to find episodes of it because I've got to watch it again before I get older, you know, because it's a great show. It really, really is. But
let's do it real quick. They should reboot all of these shows and just do them for people our age that watch them growing up, and just let us, you know what I mean, like super sloppy millennial Double Dare or something. That would be amazing. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
He wasn't a state champion, but he can't fit his whole fist in his mouth. Let's go.
Boom. Exactly.
So we go on to a show called Double Dare. Now, this is cheating a little bit because this actually started in '86.
Yeah.
But it bled through to 1994.
Yeah, and it had
It was a dang good show from what I've been told.
Yeah, it had a lot of spin-offs in it, and most of the spin-offs were only through the 90s.
Yeah.
So there's a large amount of that in the 90s, relatively speaking, when you think, because Mark Summers, the host, was part of those spinoffs too.
Okay.
Which gave it credibility, you know. So when you really look at 86 to 93, the 4 years in the beginning, when you look at the totality of the work, is next to nothing compared to everything else. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, we did The Simpsons. I mean, The Simpsons started in '89, so, you know, that's...
On Christmas of '89.
Christmas of '89. Well,
come on.
That's one of the things that I've decided I'm going to do. I'm going to do The Sopranos on here at some point, because it started in the 90s. Started in '99, so therefore, Sopranos counts, and I'm going to do it one day. But,
yeah, go for it.
It's technically correct, the best kind of correct.
Absolutely.
So, but it was a defining show of the early 90s. It was known for its physical challenges and the iconic obstacle course that it had.
Yeah, wow.
And, of course, the gunge. This is where Nickelodeon got its slime and green stuff and nastiness from.
Yeah, it kind of brought it to the forefront. There was actually a show called You Can't Do That on Television that had been on
Yes.
the air since like 78, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
it was a Canadian what do you call it? Like public TV,
Yeah.
like local access TV. It got picked up by Nickelodeon in the 80s. They've been sliming people since the late 70s. Nickelodeon actually adopted that from them.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't realize it was
Yeah.
an adaptation.
This brought it to the forefront though.
Huh.
To 1000%. Yeah, when we got slime and gack and it became like an actually marketable product. Like people wanted to be slimed, they wanted the gack, that kind of thing. So this is what made it popular.
Nice. So we're gonna jump further, and we're looking for a video game that was released on the Sega system. All right, and it was it was a good educational game, and it taught people geography and it taught people, law and order and everything like that. But this is where in the world is Carmen San Diego?
Yeah, a little bit of sleuthing skills, some logic and reasoning,
Yep.
process elimination. Yeah, they were sneaking a lot of higher order thinking into that, and it was well done because you didn't realize you were learning half the time.
No. And that's a lot of these things too. Like when they had the general knowledge and the quiz elements of it, they were real tough questions when from layman's things. They were very intricate, and they were very like we were talking about the best and the best athletes, but they also had to have a mind just as sharp as how physically fit they were.
Sure, yeah.
And this was one of these shows. This was on the PBS network in the United States. So for those in the UK, that's kind of like public television. It's paid for by donations and sponsors and stuff like that. And used to be paid for by the government, but not anymore. This featured an a cappella rock group called Rockapella as its house band, because you have to have a house band.
Yeah, that was rocking. Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts when they the bass guy. I always thought he was cool. Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna be the bass guy one day if I'm in one of those.
There you go. But yeah, it was educational. It was based off the video game, and it combined geography with fast-paced games and detective work as contestants answered questions to track the titular character. The show was praised for its educational value and its engaging format. So it did what it needed to do, educational-wise, and it kept people engaged with that, which is a very difficult thing to do because kids generally, we can say ADHD and stuff like that, and I speak as someone with ADHD. We can blame that, but kids have a short attention span to begin with anyway. So to keep them engaged and educated at the same time, to walk that line is real good. You know what I mean? It shows real good production value and real good content.
Pacing too, man. I'd
Yeah.
add pacing. Like if you watch the show, it moves. The warrants. Okay, okay, where are you going? Here, boom. Like it's very, yeah. It keeps your attention because the pacing is interesting and there's lots going on. So yeah.
So we jump into the UK again, right? And there was an American version of this show made, but we're going to talk about the British version of this show because I know more about the British show than the American show. I couldn't find too much information on the American version of the show. It was a show called Finders Keepers.
Yeah, I don't think I've even heard of it, honestly.
Okay.
Until now.
So Finders Keepers was the set was a giant house, right? So it was, you see the cutout, the old cartoon gag of the cutout of the house, and then you see inside of it, and you got all the rooms and stuff like that. So that was the set, right? And it featured two teams in the house with a hidden object where they had to find specific items based off clues in each room.
So it's almost like an escape room in a way or something.
Yes, but how the house was immaculate when the show starts, and the only way that they could find the item was it was hidden in the room, so they had to tear the room apart to find like a box or a piece of clothing or something like that. and they just destroy the set basically for the whole thing, and they find it, and then the winning team got whatever, and the losing team got bus fare home, right? Because but they've just basically rummaged through the house and in search for this stuff, right? This show was I think this show is the only show that we're going to be talking about. It ran from 91 to 96, and it was on the ITV network in the UK. And it was hosted by Neil Buchanan, who was an artist / kids show host, right? And, I mean, when he was an artist, his big TV show was Art Attack. And his famous line is, you leave this to dry overnight and it'll look something like this, right? And he'd paint. And one of the things he did was he made a picture of the Queen's head using £50 notes. So the Royal Mint came down with like £150,000, and he made a picture of the Queen's head using that money. And then he had to be searched as he left to make sure that he didn't take any of the money with him, right?
Wow. Okay.
But he's interesting for two things. One, he was a very, very good kids show host. But two, people think that he's the street artist Banksy, which he's said numerous times it's not him.
I mean, there's no proof either direction.
You've never seen them both in the same place at once.
That's true.
This show was cancelled in 1996 and ripped off the air quickly after two kids vandalized a vacant house, causing over £200,000 worth of damage.
Wow.
So it's like, okay, yeah, we might have gone too far with this one.
Yeah, I'll have to see if I can catch some video of that somewhere.
But it was a good show. I mean, I liked it. I mean, I would love to have gone on that also, but because you didn't have to. That was I guess you describe that kind of show as slop these days, because you didn't need any intelligence to go on that show. You didn't need any physicality to go on that show. You just basically had to know how to make a room messy. And all kids are capable of doing that. I mean,
be available. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That makes sense. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, it seems it's a little lazy, but I mean, at the same time, the premise is interesting and appealing, especially for, kids love to break stuff and be messy and stuff. So
I think you had to answer a question before you got to the room. I'm not sure. So, like, you had fingers on the buzzers, and the 2 + 2 is.
You had to earn the right, so to speak. Yeah.
So we're going to stay in the UK. I'm going to stay on the ITV Kids Network, and we're going to be talking about my favorite TV show growing up. Well, my second. We'll get to my favorite later. Called Nightmare. Now it's not with a K, so it's not Scary Dreams. Although the show itself was scary, it's more medieval armor, chainmail.
Nightmare.
Nightmare. Yes. This show, you talk about shows that needed a big budget, right? This was using video and VR technology in 1987 through 1994.
So, yeah, that had to be like filming a movie every episode.
Yeah, so basically the main contestant was blindfold, right? And the other two members of the team would guide him through a dungeon, right? So it's like, take 3 steps forward. Don't move any further. You're going to fall down a hole.
Gotcha.
Take 3 steps to the left. Stuff like that. They design, and there was puzzles. There was monsters, magic. So it was basically a medieval video game that they were playing with a guy in blindfold doing 3D. It was really good. I mean, I loved this show. I really did. It was immersive storytelling, challenging puzzles, and the atmosphere was, it was tense, right? It was really, really tense because you were watching this kid and you wanted him to get through, but like in 3 doors down there's a dragon,
Yeah.
So I know, I loved it. I thought it was really, really good. I was sad when they pulled it off the air because they cancelled it mid-season. So the kids who were on the challenge, nobody aside from the kids themselves and the production company knew what happened. So we didn't get the story didn't finish. They just pulled it off the air one day.
And some kids got a call saying, "Hey, you're supposed to come in, a month from now. Never mind,
Yeah.
it's over." Like, oh, that had to be crushing. If like I was gonna go on Guts, and they're like, "Oh, sorry,
Yep.
we got canceled."
It was a sad day in my childhood, and I mean I was 10 when it got cancelled. So the age range of it was like 8 to 12 or 8 to 15, excuse me. So like it was a lot of older kids on there as well. But yeah, it was, the fact, I mean, this I think was the most innovative show that we've got on here because of the premise.
Yeah.
Because of the premise of it. You blindfold a guy and then you walk him through a computerized dungeon.
Yeah,
I mean,
episode 1's on YouTube if anyone wants to check it out. I just looked it
nice.
up. Yeah, so check it. I'm gonna be watching that when I get done with this.
Nice. Yeah, I might put a link to that in the description. I might not. I don't know. It depends if I remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was such a sad day. And Hugo Mayet was playing Triggered. I don't know what he did after that, but it was a really, really good show, and I'm disappointed that it was taken from us.
Good run though, 7 years.
Yeah,
Not bad.
but I guess the cost to produce it though must have been astronomical.
Yeah, just from seeing what I saw a second ago, the intro, holy cow! Yeah, it's a lot for back then.
I mean, this is like, Commodore 64 era.
Yeah.
So yeah. So anyway,
Mario 3. Yeah.
no pre Mario 3, from Mario 2.
Mario 3. Yeah, a couple years. Mario 2.
Yeah. So the next show we're going to talk about is Figure It Out. So if you want to know more about it, figure it out. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. Did you ever watch this one, or was it beyond our time? Because we didn't get it in the UK.
Yeah, it was slightly after my time when and by the time 97 I was about 14, so I'd started leaning towards more like MTV and sports and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm familiar with it. They would bring in celebrities, and then they would bring in kids that were talented at certain things, and they would ask them questions to give them clues, and there was like no words that would cause people to get slimed. So that was kind of fun. It kind of reminds me a little bit of What Would You Do? I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think that one's on here, but that one is very similar to it. For anyone that remembers that one, they would start with an empty stage and just kind of pull people out of the crowd randomly, which I thought was neat. And they had a thing called, to loop it back to this, they had a thing called Hidden Talent, one of the segments.
Okay.
So they would bring a kid out, and people would have to guess what the hidden talent was, and if they got it wrong, they had to sit on the pie chair. So they would strap into this chair, and then it would launch like 7 pies at their face. Yeah, so it would always be something weird, like they were double jointed, or they could whistle through their nose or something weird. But it makes me, because that aired earlier, that makes me feel like that they took a page out of What Would You Do for this. But adding the celebrities was a nice touch, definitely.
Yeah, because they did use the Nickelodeon stars of the day to do it. I guess, it only lasted for 2 years. And it was also by Summer Sanders, and as we mentioned, it was on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
But I think using the stars of Nickelodeon as the panelists was a good move.
It's self-marketing.
Yeah.
People are already on your roster. It leads to more interest in other shows. Like you bring in Donkey Lips and Budnick from Salute Your Shorts, or whoever's hot at that time. Yeah, exactly.
So we're going back. We're not going back, excuse me. We're going north of the border right now. And this is a show I'd know nothing about, although it did gain popularity in parts of northern USA, which kind of doesn't help either of us, because I grew up in the United Kingdom and you grew up in southern USA. And not the region known as the South, but like literally in the southern area of the United States.
Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, the Southwest, I think they call it. Yeah. Southwest and South, or West Coast, kind of that area. So,
but we're talking about and it's from the YTV network in Canada, run from 1997 to 2003. It was known for its physical challenges, trivia questions, and the punishment round, where the contestants would get slimed.
Yeah.
Because everybody gets slimed in kids' TV shows.
That was, yeah, I'm telling you, Double Dare really brought to the while what you can't do that on television introduced it, and then Double Dare solidified it as
Yeah.
an iconic piece of that time.
But I know very little. Like I said, I know very little about this one because when I did my research, I just googled top children's TV shows. You know, by ratings or reviews or whatever. I can't remember what I exactly wrote. But
Sure.
this one came up, so it's like, oh, let's talk about this one. But it's like I said, it's primarily Canadian. So any of our Canadian listeners, if you know information about this show, write it in, and I will read it out on a future episode.
Yeah, it sounds like it's tooled after the Nickelodeon model a little bit, kind of Double Dare again, sort of a spin on that. But yeah, you got to have an energetic host for sure.
Yeah.
And the games do have to be crazy, over the top, as it says. Yeah, that definitely kind of fits there. So kind of their take on it in a way, possibly.
Well, if you want to talk about energetic hosts, right? We're going back to the UK for this one. There's the most energetic kids TV show host that we ever had, that we ever produced. Dave Benson Phillips, right? Now, UK people are going to know who this guy is. He is very, very energetic and outgoing and, whatever. But we're talking about a TV show called Get Your Own Back. That was a BBC show, and it won from 91 to 2003.
Wow.
Now, anecdotal. My cousin, his next door neighbor, is about a year younger than I am. He went on this show with his dad.
Wow.
And they won. Or his dad lost, depending on which way you look at it.
Yeah.
So the premise of it, right, was that Get Your Own Back, it was exactly what it says on the tin. As a child, you took some form of adult, right, on this show. Parental figure, teacher, basically an authority figure who was giving your life as a child, you thought was being unfair to you or
Making things hard on you, difficult, something. Yeah.
So the whole point of the game was to get your own back, and that involved them basically getting dunked in a pool of slime, right?
Right.
But it was physical challenges, trivia questions, and with the ultimate goal of dunking their chosen adult in the pool, right? Now, the adults were the bad guys in the show, right?
Yeah.
Because their job on the show was to be the antagonists. So if I went on there with my dad, my job is to get my dad in the gunge pool, right? By doing anything that I could to get him in there. And his job was to stop me from doing the things that I needed to do so he wouldn't go in the slime pool.
Yeah.
So, like, general knowledge questions, for example, it was general knowledge round. Me and my dad would be standing there, and we both would get the same question. Whoever got the most answers got the most points. And
Right.
at the end of the thing, the kid with the most points, they got to get their own back on the parent. Now, I can't remember if my cousin's neighbor got his own back. I think he did. I think he won that episode. I mean, I knew him a little bit from, he's in my school and we played football together a few times and stuff like that, but I genuinely can't remember. But lively host, messy antics, and as a child, the satisfaction of seeing an adult get their comeuppance. Because, they dad told you to do your homework, or, clean your room, or, I mean, okay, look, they didn't, it was a lighthearted, fun thing, right? They didn't, the kids that they brought on, and the parents that they brought on, the parents knew what was up, right? They were having a little bit of fun with it and everything like that, right? They weren't bringing on, kids from troubled households where getting their own back would mean when they got home, they'd be in real trouble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or when they got back to school, they'd be picked on by the teachers or, whatever, right? It was
yeah.
It was lighthearted.
Not like Johnny brought a knife to school and now we're just gonna, he's gonna duke it out with the bully or whatever.
Oh, you go home to your house and your mother's standing there like wanting to beat you with a rolling pin because I'm never gonna get that out of his hair.
Right. We had something very similar in America called Kids Court.
Okay.
Where like basically kids would bring on like a parent or guardian, somebody like that. So it came out in 1988. It was only around for 1 year, but basically it was stuff like my mom hates my magazine collection, and she wants to throw them away. And it'd be like the kid in the beginning, the cold open. My mom wants to get rid of my magazine collection, and I won't stand for it. I'm taking her to kids' court. And it was just like this courtroom, it was like wide open, and they would literally do like a court proceeding and do all this stuff to like figure out
Judge Judy
who's
for
right.
kids.
Exactly, man. And it's this whole thing. Yeah, very, very similar to that. Yeah, it's interesting.
See, that's the thing, right? I know two people who went on national TV shows, like literally who lived neighbors to me. All right, there was Liam and his dad went on Get Your Own Back, and there was a guy who lived opposite me in the street, who was friends with my brother. Whose dad who was friends with my brother. His dad went on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh wow!
And I think he walked away with like the 16 grand question.
Go ahead.
So
better than zero.
Better than nothing, right?
Yeah, better than zero, sure.
So let's move on real quick. We only got a couple more left. I'm going to ask you to the last one. I want you to Google when we get there, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But did you hear of a show called Wild and Crazy Kids?
Wild and Crazy Kids. No, what's that? Never heard of it. Yeah, amazing show. Over the top host Donnie Jeffcoat, Ned Chavez, and Omar Gooding. That was the original OG lineup. They added these two other people. Jessica was all right, but Donnie Jeffcoat was really the main guy. Omar Gooding, same Gooding as Cuba Gooding. That is his older brother. So either older or younger. I can't remember. The timeline's hazy because it's how long ago this was. I think he's the younger brother because Cuba was already doing a bunch of roles around that time. But yeah, this was a very this show like had no real form.
Okay.
It was formless. Like the location changed constantly. It didn't have a set. They did things that made no sense really, but that were exciting and fun to watch. There was one where they were doing something at a water park where they had to like jump through a ring, and there was other ones where like they had to be the first team to completely toilet paper a house. Like stuff like that. It was really wild and crazy. It lived up to the name. It was out there. And going back to obstacle course and stuff like that. Yeah, and giant board games too. They had like a giant chess, and the way that you moved was by going down a slide and going through one of those rings. You got the opportunity to move. It's stuff like that. So it was kind of connecting board games with physical challenges, and but it was weird because like they'd be in Montana or they'd be in California or they'd be like up in the mountains. At a campground. Like it was formless. Like you never knew where they were going to be or what was going to happen.
So it was a touring show, basically.
Essentially, yeah.
Nice.
And they always had like a huge group of children. Like there was always like hundreds of kids participating in this. And that was another one of the shows that I thought that I could be on because it's not a show where you have to be like an Olympian or a state champ. No. Like Johnny next door, random guy from Anytime USA could be on the show. So it was approachable, and I think that's what made it enjoyable to watch for me.
We're gonna end this episode, and we've been here. It seems like we've only been here like 2 minutes, but we've been here like a normal amount of time, which is good, But we're gonna talk about the final show that we're gonna talk about. We're done with the stuff on this side of the Atlantic for the United States and Canadian folks. We're going back to the UK to end this one, right? And we're talking about the ultimate in UK kids game shows. Game show called Funhouse. Now, I said Google here in a minute. It was hosted by radio legend Pet Sharp and Melanie and Martina Grant, the twins. That's a good start right there. The twins.
Yeah.
That was the hook for many, many, many young lad discovering things about themselves.
I see what you're saying now.
Yes, they were a lot of people my age's first crush, basically, for lack of a better term.
Just imagine Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
kind of face, sort of Gwen Stefani-esque. Yeah, very, very, very pretty. Gwen Stefani and Christina Aguilera kind of smushed together.
Yes, and there were
Yeah.
two of them.
Wow.
And they
Beautiful.
were the cheerleaders basically, right? Pat
Nice.
was the game show host, and because he was a radio DJ, he had the timing down, and he was the smooth operator, and he could read the cue cards and make the kids jokes and everything like that. And then there'd be a red team and a yellow team, and one would go with one cheerleader, one would go with the other cheerleader, and they'd play games, right? So they'd come in wearing pristine clothes, branded with the logo of the game show on there, right? And then by the time they got to the funhouse, they were covered in paint and mud and dirt and crap and everything like that, right? Because they in the studio they'd do games, right? So they'd have can you fill this bucket of water using only water balloons that you have to walk from one end of the room to the other end of the room using only your knees, right? Just game shows like that, right? Little games like that. And then there was the go-kart round. They had an indoor go-kart circuit.
Oh, cool.
And the point of the go-kart circuit was you had to pick up tokens, because you had like 100 points for each game and everything like that, and then you had to get the tokens, which were like 10 and 20 points apiece, and then whoever got the most got to go into the funhouse. And the funhouse, there was what are they called? Labels, I think they're called.
Yeah.
You see them, it's a label, right? It was a label with a thing, and on the label would be written like BMX bike, Nintendo Entertainment System, Jungle Gym, football,
Gotcha.
And the whole point of the thing was you had to go in the funhouse. You had like 90 seconds to go through the funhouse and grab as many of these things as you could, and you had to tag out to your partner at some point as well to do it. And like the Crystal Maze, you only had so much time based on how many points you got. But
wow, okay.
That was the game show that I really, really wanted to go on. That was the one that was my unicorn. That was the one. Fun. Yeah, that was the one that I really, really, really wanted to do. And I think it was the perfect kids game show, right? Because it featured all the messiness that you'd expect on a kids game show, right? It featured an energetic host. It featured, two very, very beautiful young women, which gave a lot of people my age that it's like, oh, okay, girls are not just icky people.
Yeah, it set some things in motion.
Yes. But yeah, pretty much. But it was just I think it was the blend of everything that had come before it. We talk about the messy game shows and the shows with the energetic host, and then the shows with the games, and the shows with shows with the I think this was the perfect kids game show. I really do.
Yeah, because it's like it's one of those I can't remember the name. It's like when the circles that intersect over one another.
Yeah.
It's like we're sitting right in the middle, like a messy show, fun show, challenging show.
Yeah.
Like boom, it's right there in the middle. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I would love to have gone on this one because I might not look it, but when I was in school, I was a 3-sport athlete, right? One very good 3-sport athlete after my back went out, but that's a different story for a different day. I competed in judo, I competed in football or soccer, and I competed in boxing very, very briefly. But I did all those at once, right? And so, I figured I could do this game show, a lot of these game shows, because, I felt I had the physical fitness, but my brain was mush. So I couldn't do any of the general knowledge stuff. And I think this one, Funhouse in particular, was the one that had the right, as you said, it's the Venn diagram with the 8 different loops, and this is the one in the very, very, very middle that got it all.
It's right in there because I mean, Double Dare is just a messy show. I mean, straight up. Yeah. So
let me ask you a question. Out of all of these ones, which one was your favorite that you know of? Because I did a waxing lyrical over the Funhouse. Let me get your favorite.
Yeah, man, it's tough. I don't know. Wild and Crazy Kids would probably be the realistic choice, but like in my heart of hearts, I'd probably have to go with Legends of the Hidden Temple. That
Nice.
would have to be it, just because like the prizes were always really good. It
Yeah.
was like Vacation to the Bahamas, Space Camp, you know, stuff like that. The problem with Legends of the Hidden Temple, though, of all the episodes they had, I think like three people won.
Yeah.
It was really hard to win. So that's a little discouraging, but honestly, the experience would be king.
Yeah.
Be getting to dress up and they give you a little helmet and knee pads and gloves, like you're all decked out like an adventurer. You get to show off your brain and your brawn a little bit and your mind. Yeah, so I think it'd have to be Legends, just because that's the one I always dreamed of. I was never athletic enough for Guts, and Double Dare. Yeah, I liked watching it, but if I could pick one, it would be Legends of the Hidden Temple for sure.
Nice. And see, the other thing about kids' game shows as well is that at that age it's an experience, right? You don't expect anything. You have fun. The fun is now.
Is
Yeah,
the
sure,
experience.
sure. You could win a Nintendo right at the end of it. Fair enough, right?
Yeah,
But
sure.
some of these game shows that the adults played, the regular game shows, right? There was a show in the UK called Bullseye, which was a darts game show, right? And the final round was you had to between the dart player and the non-dart player, you had to score 101 points. Because what it was is that it was a team of two, and one guy was there for the general knowledge, and the other guy was the guy who actually played darts, right? Either as a hobby or competitively, right?
Right.
And every time they miss, right, the host would go, "That's horrible. Let's see what you would have won." I'll just rub it in a little bit, right? And that show was infamous for like these guys living right slap bang in the middle of England, winning a speedboat.
Yeah.
They're like 200 miles from any water they can actually use it on, but they win a speedboat. It's
yeah, I'm in Arizona and they give me a boat. Like, all right, Havasu's only 6 hours away. Let's go.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think there are too many kids game shows out there now. I hadn't seen any. Like I said, my family, as the kids would watch Nickelodeon religiously, and there was nothing game showy on there. There was like kids comedy shows and SpongeBob SquarePants for like 6 hours a day, and the Fairly Odd Parents, and there was nothing, no real.
You just don't see it. I
No.
mean, I think it's a production cost issue. I think over the years people have realized that they can make more money and save overhead by not having to have a big studio audience and some of these other things. So maybe that's it. But yeah, to me it was definitively like the golden age of that sort of thing. Like I can't think of any other time where there was that many great shows, because most of these are running in succession at the same time or during the same time. A lot of them. So it was the barf age. So yeah, we had slime and we had the goop and the gack and the pies to the face and all that good stuff.
So if any TV executive stumbles across this episode, bring them back. I guarantee you. My kids are too old now, but I guarantee you, by the time I have grandkids, by the time they are like 8 to 13, they would love to go on this kind of thing.
Reboot it for Gen X and millennials.
Yes, let the grown-ups go on there.
For those that still have good backs and knees, we'll do like a watered down version of Guts for us that are graying, so to speak. So
on that note, right, I'm going to tell you, I would give you something that we're going to call it good. Somebody said that the Olympics are not that impressive. You've got the top athletes in their field at their peak of physical condition. Of course, it's going to be tight in some areas. There's not going to be landslides. What you really need in the Olympics is one regular guy in all these races, just to show you how good these people are.
one average person performing, just for comparison. Yeah,
because
I agree with that.
I run the 100 meters in 45 seconds.
Yeah,
Usain Bolt can run around the track 3 times by the time I've hit the finish line.
Exactly.
So, all right. we're going to leave it with that. Greg, man, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I've got some news about our stream. You should actually be watching the stream right now. If you listen to the podcast, I'm probably still over on ye old Twitch. I might not be at this time, but I don't know. It'll be on YouTube. Watch it. Anyway, I'll give you more information on that here in a minute. Greg, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Take it easy.
A sincere thank you to Gregory for joining us on his final episode of this season. I really appreciate him taking the time out of his days to talk with us. He will be back at some point next season. But as far as what we're going to be doing, well, we're taking a week off because of the holiday. Yes, I know the holiday was Thursday, but I need a couple of days to rest and recharge after all the turkey and the markets and all the work that I've been doing. So this is going to be the last episode for 2 weeks. We will be returning on Sunday, December 14th, where I'll be joined by Sarah. And what better way to start December than talk about Christmas movies? It's that time of year again, everybody, that we're going to throw some holiday movies in there. So this week, or this next episode, I should say, we will be talking about a sequel that is not as charming as its original offering. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. Yes. I liked this movie, I should say. I liked this movie when I was younger, but as I watched it last year, I realized, man, if this was the original, I don't think it would have gone down as well as the first one. So, we all know what we're waiting for, the House of Horrors, and this year's House of Horrors seemed a little more cruel than the one before. So, yes, so we're going to be continuing with some holiday movies between now and the end of the year. That's going to be on December 14th. If you're listening to this, obviously, sometime in the future, ignore that date. So, over on our YouTube channel, we continue another ES5 gamer, and I'll play through a Skyrim with the first of 2 wars. Yes, we lose our ability to smith high-level pieces of gear, and the Companions and Silverhand War has actually begun. Yes, can the pack of werewolves defeat the werewolf hunters? We'll find out over the next couple of weeks. Talking a couple of weeks, next week's stream, because we decided that, we had so much fun doing Championship Manager stream, we're going to keep going, and we're going to do Lemmings. Yes, we're going to be doing the tricky level of Lemmings. So, you want to join us next week, and both of those streams will actually be on our YouTube channel after the stream is over, okay? So, if you don't get a chance to watch them live, they will be archived on our YouTube channel. Talking of archives, our website is still not up to date, but as of recording, I am planning on working on that website in the next couple of days. So I'm going to see what's going on. There have been a lot of issues with it, and I'm hoping that I've got them fixed. If not, I'm going to have to rebuild the whole thing from scratch, and I really don't want to do that. But I might have to. So, we'll see what's going on. And I'll see what I can do, but I'm hoping that I don't have to rebuild the website from scratch, and if I do, it's going to take a little bit longer than the one day that I planned, but I'm going to get with our crack design team, aka me and Sarah, and see what we do. Sarah did a lot of the graphics for this stuff, and she built the website. And when I got my hands on it, I ruined the website, so I've got to fix it, so it's typical, isn't it? So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening, if you're just listening to the audio version of the podcast. I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, and with the Christmas and holiday season coming upon us, I hope you have a wonderful time there too. But like I said, we will be back in 2 weeks, so get ready, be prepared, because we're going to be diving into Christmas and holiday shenanigans for the rest of the year. And that is it for this episode. If you like what you see, go check out becausemaybepodcast.com. Like I said, it's under construction, but we should have something up very, very soon. If you like what you hear, go check out YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Podbean. That's where you find our podcasts. If you just stumble across this on a podcast network that you're not usually from. And, of course, the latest news and what's happening is on Facebook and Instagram, okay? And we will see you in 2 weeks' time. So, take it easy, everybody. Bye.